Welcome to today's episode. Today we will be talking about Jeffrey Epstein's timeline and the conspiracy around his death.
Right. Now, everybody knows Jeffrey Epstein, the financier that was arrested several months ago on child pornography charges. Not really child pornography, I guess you would call it child molestation. The actual charge, what was that? The charge let's look at it. We got here. Sex trafficking conspiracy. Because supposedly him and several of his cohorts, the people that worked for him, were in on this. Trafficking girls in between a New York location and a Palm Beach location. Today, we will talk about the timeline, the things that led up to his death. We'll give a little bit of our opinion on what happened, what we think happened on his death, and then we'll go over some other things, possibly in future episodes. So, Dakota, July 6th.
Epstein is he's arrested on this day.
Right. He's arrested on federal charges.
Yes.
For running a sex trafficking enterprise. And
yeah.
The dates on that are from 2002 to 2005. And he paid underage girls, basically, and had friends go out and help collect for these girls, correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So, arrested on federal charges on July 6th. On July 8th, he pled not guilty to sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy to engage in sex trafficking of minors. And on the 10th, he's assigned to the prison special housing unit known as the SHU due to the risk factors for suicide and safety concerns. I mean, obviously, if he's got child sex charges and he's a suicide risk, so they're going to try to keep an eye on him. And in the SHU special housing unit, they're under very intense surveillance.
Okay, for one, a child molestator in prison would get murdered anyways.
Yeah. I mean, you have to keep these guys under wraps, and in these high security units are supposed to be full of video surveillance, constant guard monitoring. They're supposed to have a central nervous system, for the guards to. I don't know if you've ever seen the videos, like on the television specials where they talk about, inside prisons, and then the guard like, oh, this is the SHU,
Oh yeah.
And so you see it, and you're like, wow, these people, they can't breathe inside of their cell without someone seeing it, So you got to keep that in mind when you're thinking about the fact that they're saying that he killed himself. And this particular SHU says that inmates are assigned to 6 separate tiers, each of which has 8 cells. So you've got 6 tiers with 8 cells. 32. 6 times 8 is 32. Am I right?
I'm awful at math, so that's a terrible question to ask
Sounds
me.
good. We'll say it's 32. We'll say there's 32 inmates that they have to pay attention to. They've got 2 guards that are supposed to be on duty to cover this. So moved there on July 10th. July 18th, a federal judge denies Epstein bail. Because the guy is super rich, and if he can make bail, he would likely disappear and never be seen again.
So I want to interject real fast.
Yeah.
Our kindergarten teachers would be highly disappointed in us. 6 times 8 is 48.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So 48 people that they have to monitor in this particular unit. I don't know if 2 guards have to monitor all 48. It doesn't seem like a tall task, considering that everyone is stuck inside of a small room all day.
Right.
So I mean, if you can't keep up with 48 people who are trapped, there's a problem. So July 18th, bail denied. He must remain in the Metropolitan Correctional Center pending his trial. July 23rd. Prison officers find Epstein on the floor of his cell with a strip of bedsheet around his neck. He is subsequently transferred out of the SHU and placed on suicide watch in the hospital wing, where he is observed 24 hours a day by a staff member or a specially trained inmate companion. This is going to be somebody like a trustee. He remains on suicide watch for about 24 hours and is transferred to a psychological observation, also in the hospital wing. Now, during that July 23rd incident, he had a cellmate, an ex-cop, convicted on drug-related murders, Tartaglione.
This
Uh,
dude is massive.
Massive.
Roids upon roids were
One of the
taken.
scariest people I think I've ever seen. He looks like Bane from the Batman comic book. He was a monster, and he is placed inside the cell with Epstein, who's a known child sex trafficker.
So is
So,
it? I wonder if this dude just got absolutely pissed off with Epstein and just started wailing, just hitting him, and then just strung him up just to get it over with, and he failed at it.
right. So, did he try to strangle this guy on the 23rd with a bed sheet? They're saying that he tore up his bed sheet and tried to hang himself with it. If you've ever seen the inside of these cells, they're designed against that.
I mean, that dude, they would have to be touching each other while he's trying to hang himself, right? Like, aren't the beds like pretty much next to each other?
Yeah, they're right next to each other. Most of them are designed either in like an L shape, where one is a little higher, one's a little lower, or they're like bunk beds, either on top of each other. So,
So it blows my mind that this guy is in the same cell with him,
hmm
and he's just letting this happen. I guess
right.
people that molest children are way down on the list, and he probably didn't care.
So,
But
what sounds more realistic? He's minding his own business while this guy is trying to hang himself, or he knows who he is and he is trying to kill him himself.
exactly, and why did the cameras not pick that up
That's a good question. They say that the cameras weren't working. They
on
they, they
two
have
different days?
on apparently on 2 different days
Huh.
because they have nothing. They've said nothing about he actually tried to kill himself on this day. And you have to know that the people who are giving us this information are already suspicious of the information that they have themselves. So you're talking about the Board of Prisons, and the MCC, the Metro Correctional Center. So all they have to go on is the guards on duty at the time and inmate testimony, other inmates in the shoe. And so whatever they say, if there's no cameras working, has to be the truth, right?
I mean
So
that
they have no other source of information.
that is mind blowing.
Yeah,
That
it's
these
mind-blowing.
cameras just stopped working on 2 different days.
Right. So they expect the public to believe that in such a high-profile, high-security center, they don't have cameras working.
But
So
wait, didn't they say the day that he actually did die, the camera was working because didn't they go back and review the footage of no one entering the cell?
they did say, well, no, they didn't say that no one entered the cell. They said that no one came in and out of the cell block. So
Ah,
apparently, just a very specific set of cameras that were very conveniently not working. Other cameras in the whole place are in fact functioning, but the ones
ah,
that are closest to him are mysteriously not working.
that's a little sketchy.
That is a little sketchy, and that's the source of this conspiracy that he killed himself. And then now you have 2 guards that were on duty that night who have just been indicted for falsifying information. And according to some of the things they've said, that they were um, just kind of kidding around, not doing their job, basically not doing their job, being lazy. That's what they said has boiled down that they're going on to.
Did I see
But
in the indictment that they were supposed to have 75 checkups with Epstein?
yes, they're in a unit like that. There's supposed to be people that are walking around constantly, looking into the cells to make sure everybody is okay and doing what they're supposed to. So, so on top of making sure that they're not breaking out and escaping or doing anything violent, they're also supposed to be protecting these people and making sure that they're alive, of course, to be able to go and stand trial for whatever it is they're doing. And so,
That's 75 checks are missed.
Yes,
How long was it?
that was an entire shift, and they said they had worked some overtime, so at least 10 hours.
Wow.
At least 10
Okay.
hours. And
Okay.
this and you have to know that while they say that they're just not doing their job, that they're just cutting up and being lazy, they know they have a high profile person in there who is already, according to them, attempted suicide once,
Yeah.
just a few weeks prior. So if you know you have someone in there that's going to attempt suicide, why do you give him bed sheets and stuff back if you say he's already torn his bed sheets up? Why are you giving him more bed sheets? Why isn't
Exactly.
he in the suicide vest? The little paper vest, sleeping on a bare mattress. That's what they do to people who say they're suicidal.
I'm
And
I'm I gotta admit, when you said suicidal vest, I did not picture a paper vest.
it's a paper vest. It's basically a little paper vest. They take your clothes because they don't want you to be able to use your clothes to hang yourself or choke yourself or anything else. No item. I mean, they basically strip you of everything and give you just a little smock to wear, just to cover yourself for decency's sake. And
Okay.
then you sleep on a bare mattress. They take everything from you that you could possibly hurt yourself with.
It kind of
Uh,
seems like they were tempting him just to do it.
doesn't it? Doesn't
Yeah.
it seem like they set him up to
Here's your
to
bed sheets.
yeah, here's your suicide weapons that you had just previously used a few days ago back. Um, don't do that again, wink wink,
Yeah.
you know. Uh, but I've seen videos where guys have jumped off of their bunk, like with their head inside their metal toilet. Like their toilet, the toilet is attached to the ground, right? And it's
Right.
got a sink on the back of it, so it's all
Right.
one unit. And so they're wanting to kill themselves. I've seen video surveillance footage where a guy jumped off of his bed head first into the toilet, hoping the toilet would snap his neck. Uh, he made it. uh,
I don't mean to laugh at at their misery, but the fact that you're
right,
so desperate that you're gonna jump into a toilet hoping to kill yourself.
right, hoping to break your neck. How, gosh, that's got to be awful.
That's terrible. So
Because
do you know if that guy ended up with like paralysis or anything like that?
I don't know. It was just, it's one of those things on the internet. You just see a video.
Yeah.
It didn't have any follow up or anything like that. But, that's what he had done. And so can you imagine the desperation of, because at some point he was standing on that bed,
Right.
looking at it, like gauging how hard and where he's going to have to jump to get his head crammed into this toilet, so, and he did it, he was successful at getting his head in there, head first into the commode, but did not die from it. But
Wow.
if they don't want you to be able to hurt yourself, they take everything. So why would they give him these items back? And so on July 23rd was supposedly his first suicide attempt, where he had tried to hang himself by shredding up his sheet and hanging himself. From what he had attempted to hang himself, I would like to know. Because if you've ever seen the inside of one of these rooms, they're specifically engineered for you to not be able to do that. Like
Right.
there's no hooks on the wall.
There's no pipes or there
No
shouldn't be.
pipes. No, there's not. There's no pipes. It's basically a cinder block room, with a tiny window, that's just a few inches wide, so you'll get a sliver of light in on some of them. Some of them don't even have that. And then you have the toilet with the sink combo. There's nothing on there that you can attach anything to. It's a button to get your water that comes out of basically a hole. There's not even a faucet. And the lights that are in there have a vent, that blows the air that circulates through the building just out of a little grate right there. And it's just holes drilled, just I wouldn't even call it a mesh. It's just the metal that has a series of holes where the air comes out.
You know,
So
that is a good point that you just raised. Like, what did he use?
what did he use? Exactly. What did he, if you're going to say, oh, we found him hanged, What did he hang himself with? What did he use? You could say he shredded his sheet and put it around his neck, but what did he attach that sheet to?
You know, I don't know if there were windows in there like you said, but if it's like a typical jail window or something like that, it's got the crummy looking bars or whatever on it. Maybe he dropped down knee height and hung himself off of that.
No, they don't have the little bars on them. The way they're set up is just it's glass with the little wire reinforcement
Oh,
inside
okay,
the
yeah,
glass,
yeah,
and then it's just smooth concrete all the way up to
okay.
the glass. I mean, they're over engineered for your safety. So you have to ask, what did he hang himself off of? Um, the fact that he had those bones broken in his neck that were consistent with a aggressive homicidal strangulation. If he hung himself, he had to have get he couldn't have been on his knees doing it, because if he had just kind of sat down on his own body weight to pull his neck, to kind of strangle himself, how did he pull it so hard using, just a kneeling or a body weight that he broke those bones? That's something you see when you're being wrestled and strangled from behind, by someone who's very strong.
So I
So,
just pulled up a kind of a cartoonish drawing of his jail cell.
okay.
A 4-inch wide window overlooking prison courtyard. Impossible
Okay.
he used that. It
Okay.
it shows that there is a shower in here. It says a shower has a timer to prevent flooding.
Okay.
Maybe he used like the nozzle that comes out for the head.
Is it showing the shower head in the room?
This cartoon drawing is. I don't have a live picture of that jail cell.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
got a black and white television with limited programs, it says. A bed, a mirror, and then the doors. I mean, that's it. So my only thought is the shower head is maybe strong enough to hold him. I don't know.
I don't know. I would assume the shower head wouldn't have anything you could tie anything to. If it was designed anything like the sinks, then it might be just a small box with some holes in it where the water comes out. You know,
So
they
yeah,
they
yeah,
they pre-plan for this stuff. If it's a common threat that an inmate's going to hang themselves in the shower, they've probably got a design feature that makes it near impossible to get a bed sheet or something tied to a shower. Um, Something I considered is maybe he put a knot in the end of his sheet, and if he went back in the room, he threw the knot up over the door and kind of pinched that knot into the door when he closed it.
okay, I see what you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
And hopefully the guards would have noticed that knot sticking out the other side. But if you've got these two guards that are saying they're not paying any attention,
Right, and they've
not
missed
doing their
75
job.
checkups.
Right. They skip 75 checks throughout the day to play on their phones, or whatever it is they're doing, scrolling Facebook. It's possible, that could have happened. But if you're an inmate, what do you think the success rate is? Do you know the guards are not doing their job?
Right.
Is that something you're aware of?
I
I mean,
saw I saw an article the other day that said the perfect storm of screw ups, and that's exactly what this is.
that's what it's saying. That's what they're saying. We fast forward from his first suicide attempt, where he was in a cell with this giant man beast Tartaglione, to July 30th. He's transferred back. Okay, so 7 days later, he leaves the hospital wing. He's transferred back to the SHU and is required to have an assigned cellmate. He was assigned to the cell closest to the correctional officer's desk in the SHU's common area, which is about 15 feet from the cell. He is next to the correctional officer's desk and has a cellmate, and 15 feet from the cell is the common area. How much more do you have to be able to protect somebody?
I
The the knowing these things, the fact that he saying he killed himself seems more and more of a stretch.
So what? Who was the cellmate?
I'm not sure. I think it was. They said someone was transferred out of his cell the day before he killed himself.
Oh, that's right. They. Oh, okay. I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
and I'm not sure if it was Tartaglione. I don't know if they had put him back with him or not.
Right.
And they had also told Tartaglione's lawyer that he was not going to be charged in the incident on the 23rd with the attempted suicide while he was his cellmate. Why would they even have to make a statement like that to let him know unless there was some level of suspicion
Yeah,
as
I
to
think there
whether or
was.
not he was involved in it,
Yeah.
whether or not he was trying to strangle him? So, transferred back to the SHU on the 30th, 7 days after a suicide attempt, with his cell closest to the correctional officer's desk in the common area, about 15 feet from the cell. The next day, Epstein appears in Manhattan federal court and shows no visible signs of injury and has
Huh.
another court date set for October 8th. So, 8 days after his presumed suicide attempt, just 8 days later, he shows no visible signs of injury. So, no bruising, no rope burn, no any kind of thing like that visible on his neck on July 31st.
That dude's got some superhuman powers healing
That's
like
that's
that.
that's interesting, is what that is. You're absolutely right.
So if it was bad enough for them to send him to the hospital,
To the hospital, and he was only sent back to his cell the day before he went to court. So he had just left the hospital unit the day before, goes to court the next day, and appears to have no marks on him whatsoever.
I mean that's impressive.
That is impressive.
Either
So,
either he is a fast healer or somebody's got some really good makeup skills.
yeah, and knowing how they operate, they just take you from your cell down into a holding room and then load you on a little van and take you to court.
Right.
He would there had You would have seen marks. I believe you
Exactly.
would have
Yeah.
seen marks. So we fast forward from July 31st to August 9th, when they release all these pages of court documents in the federal court with new details of sex abuse claims against Epstein and several associates. 8 a.m. Epstein's cellmate is transferred out of the prison in a quote routine prearranged transfer, and no new cellmate is assigned.
So that right there tells me this was a prearranged murder. 100%. He's
It
had
seems like it
he's had a cellmate this entire time,
this entire time.
even after him trying to attempt to suicide. They put another cellmate in there days later. But
Yes.
there's no cellmate now.
Yeah. And so it seems to coincide with the fact of all these new pages of court documents that has all these new details. So he is supposed to have operated, what was it, from 2002 to 2005?
Yeah.
That's what the allegations are covering. It doesn't say anything after the fact. It has no details after the fact. And so all of a sudden, on August 9th, hundreds of pages of court documents are unsealed in the federal court. New details of sex abuse claims against Epstein and several associates. At the same time, that morning at 8 a.m., his cellmate is transferred out.
So several associates. I wonder how powerful these associates were.
That's a good question. That's a good question.
If they're Bill Clinton powerful, or even better, Prince Andrew, they got money.
Yeah.
They know people.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is. And let's divert for just a second. If he was murdered, how would it go down? Would you come in and offer the cellmate a deal and cut out a whole lot of middlemen? Would you come in some sort of grand conspiracy fashion with a team of CIA operatives and send, someone, have to display credentials and go to the control room and buzz this team of operatives all through the prison in plain view of everyone, even inmates, and then being on camera and then, getting them past the guards. And with so many people knowing things, you wouldn't be able to keep everyone quiet. So that
I,
would
th-
be a dumb thing to do, right?
I think it was the
So,
guards.
so you have to limit your options. You can get a lot done with money, and these people, his associates, he's known to be a very wealthy. His associates are very wealthy, very very powerful.
Right.
If in my mind, if you were going to kill an inmate, you would either bribe or threaten another inmate that had access to them, or you would bribe or threaten a guard that had immediate access,
Right.
because that cuts out eyes, that cuts out cameras, that cuts out any and all these grand conspiracies where several people came in and then killed him or snuck him out, or there's even people that believe he's alive somewhere.
I don't think homie's alive.
I don't think he's alive. I believe the man is dead.
Yeah.
um
It's just how did he die?
how did he die? And that's that's the question. um we have to pay close attention to the timeline to see if we can think around what it is, and this timeline that they're putting out comes from the MCC, or the
Right.
Bureau of Prisons. So are they covering something up? Or because like we just talked about, they're not going to sneak a team of assassins through the prison, because every inmate, as soon as they hear something coming, they're all eyes because they have nothing better to do. They're bored to death.
Right. Right.
And so if you've seen, a new group of guards walking through the prison, everybody's going to say, "Hey, there's a new group of guards here." The whole place is going to know about it. So you can't do anything in a prison without the inmates knowing, and
Read
they would most certainly talk.
read the August 9th, 4 p.m. one.
August 9th, 4 p.m. Tova Noel. Tova Noel is one of the guards. It's a female guard. A
Mm-hmm.
31-year-old officer at MCC begins the first of two back-to-back 8-hour shifts in the SHU. Noel has been employed as a correctional officer at MCC since about 2016. So we're talking about somebody with 3 years of experience on the job.
So when did Epstein arrive at this jail? Was it
Epstein,
was that in July? Was that it?
that it was in July. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, he was transferred there in July.
Okay.
I believe that was July 10th that he came there.
Look at
So,
look at that second paragraph.
so Noel and an unnamed officer, Officer 1, do not perform the required 4 p.m. institutional count. Internal video shows, according to the indictment. That's very interesting. We're
Mm,
gonna remember that right there.
yes.
They complete and sign a count slip, falsely saying they did. The count slip is collected and delivered to the control center, where officers are responsible for comparing the count slips to the institution's inmate roster, the indictment says. So let's talk about that for a second.
Noel and an unnamed officer.
Yes,
Has the name been brought out since then?
I believe they have.
That's
I
what I
believe they
thought.
have. So Noel and this officer do not perform the required 4 p.m. institutional count. And that's basically where they walk by the cells and look in and make sure A, you're there, B, you're okay. And so
That's the 75 checkups, right?
I believe so.
That they're supposed to make.
Yeah, it seems like that would be it, because according to our horrible math, that would be a close estimate. And
Okay.
uh, so, but there's something interesting there. And according to that indictment, video showed that they didn't do their job. The same video that is supposed to be broken.
Yeah.
But which is it?
So
Is the video broken, or is it showing them not doing their job? So either the video is broken and there's no evidence they didn't do their job, or the video is functionable,
you know,
functions.
video is very easy to overlap and record the same stuff over and over, loop it.
Yes.
You know, anybody can edit video. anybody.
That's right. That's right. And for someone to edit any video, they would have to have access to the DVR system of the jail. And
Yeah.
that would not be these two. So are they scapegoats? Are they guilty? Did they have something to do with this? Did another inmate have something to do with this?
It could be a big crime ring. These two could have killed him, and then the higher ups in the prison could have just edited the video.
Yeah, to make it maybe seem like they just slipped up and they're going to get a little heat for a little while.
Yeah.
A little heat for not doing their jobs and losing their jobs and then having to retire with a large sum of money from somewhere.
Well, the poor girl, Noelle, she was on one of her breaks that she falsified the information on. She was online looking at furniture, they said. The poor
Okay.
girl won't even get to go back to her apartment to the furniture she was looking at. She's going to jail for falsifying.
Yeah, for falsifying. Now here's a question. Why do you think you could get away with falsifying that information?
Well, that was kind
If
of why I brought that up. Why would you, if you're looking at furniture and you know that you're not doing your job, what do they think's going to happen, especially in a prison? Do they think they're going to get slapped on the hand and handed a cosmic brownie and told to go home? No.
No, but here's the thing. How did they think that they could get away with doing that? Because the cameras are broke, right?
Oh, yeah. How convenient.
How convenient. So you know that you don't have to do your job, you won't get caught. If you know you don't have to do your job and you won't get caught, how do you know that?
The camera's
How do you
broken.
know that? Because the cameras are broken.
Yeah.
These are the same cameras that they're saying that verified the fact that they didn't do their job.
But wait a
So
minute.
we're
They're broken.
flip-flopping. They're broken. So how can you tell us that they falsified their time slips? The
Huh.
cameras are broken. Are they broken or are they not? Because they're telling us in one account, they're saying that these cameras in this inner unit, and then we're talking about just inside the shoe, where they're supposed to be doing their patrols, walking up and down the hallways, looking in the cell doors, making sure, everyone's in there safe and everyone's in there okay. So they falsified their log saying that they had done their job when in fact they had not.
So,
So why would you even try that if you
I,
know there's cameras, unless you know that they don't work?
so looking at
So,
this timeline,
mhm,
I'm a little bit confused here. It says August 9th, 5:03. Based on the
yes,
falsified count slip, the control center clears the 4 p.m. count. Okay. August 9th,
yes,
7:49 p.m. Epstein returns to the SHU from an attorney visit and escorted to his cell by Noel and another officer. So
okay.
homie wasn't even in the cells when they started their shift, right?
Yeah, well, possibly. It's saying that at 4 p.m., they falsified their time slips. So at 5:03 it was cleared, right? And that 5:03 it was cleared from the 4 p.m. count. So at 4 p.m. they did a count.
Right,
At
right, right.
5:03 the control center cleared that count. But at 7:49 Epstein returns to the SHU from an attorney visit. So it doesn't say whether or not he was present for count
Right.
or if he was gone to an attorney visit before 4 o'clock. So I would assume that he was present for count at 4 p.m., which they're saying is falsified. But I mean, we know he's there anyway. He's alive at this point.
Right.
So at 7:49, he returns to the SHU from an attorney visit. So at some point during that day, now let's recall it again. The same day, all these new court documents are unsealed. His cellmate is transferred out of his cell. Tova Noel and another officer come in on shift at 4 o'clock and they falsify a count. So right off the bat, they're saying they're not doing their job. 5:03, a falsified count slip is cleared the control center, and the control center is the one that controls the doors and the cameras. August 9th, 7:49, he returns from the SHU after an attorney visit and escorted to his cell by Noel and another officer. August 9th, by or before 10 p.m., all inmates are locked in their cells for the night. So at 10 p.m., everybody's on lockdown. It's bedtime. So he has what, roughly an hour and 10 minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
2 hours? 2 hours and 10 minutes before lockdown. So he's returned to the SHU, escorted to his cell, and then all the doors are locked by 10 p.m. Noel and an unnamed officer 2 at 10 p.m. do not perform the required 10 p.m. institutional count. Internal video shows. They complete and sign a count slip falsely saying that they did. So they're trying to tell us that these videos aren't working, but they're also telling us that internal video shows that they didn't get up and walk around the center.
Now
These are.
let me
Go
play
ahead.
devil's advocate real fast. Was there another updated story that came out and said that the video cameras were working?
I don't believe there are.
I
The
don't think so either, but I just wanted to make sure.
um that might be something to look at right quick. Because they're talking about the videos show that they're not doing their job, but they're also saying that the videos show that there's the video cameras weren't working.
Okay, you continue over the timeline and I'll look that up real fast.
Excellent. 10:36. Okay, 6 minutes after, or excuse me, we'll say 10:30. Noel briefly walks up to and walks back from the door to the tier in which Epstein was housed. Internal video shows again. This is the last time anyone walks up to the entrance to the area where Epstein was held until 6:30 a.m. the next day, the indictment said. So their official statement is from 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. Nobody goes and checks on Epstein, the suicidal, high profile, tied to several powerful people inmate. They're just leaving this guy alone, not going and checking on him. And it's up to 2 people, Noel and this other person. At 10:36, based on the falsified count slip, the control center clears the 10 p.m. count. August 10th, 12 a.m., Michael Thomas, an officer at the MCC, begins his shift in the SHU. Thomas has been employed as a correctional officer at MCC since 2007, so has more experience there than the 3 years of Noel.
Okay,
In 13, go ahead.
Sorry, I found this. Reuters reported FBI studies 2 broken cameras outside cell where Epstein died. And then later in the article it says the Washington Post reported on Monday that at least 1 camera in the hallway outside Epstein's cell had footage that was unusable. So how do they know that these people weren't doing their jobs?
Okay.
And how do they know that nobody entered the cell?
And this narrows it down, because if it's just 2 cameras and it's outside his cell, remember they have 6 tiers with 8 cells apiece. So from what that states, the rest of these cameras are working.
Right.
So they can tell that they didn't walk everywhere and do what they were supposed to.
You're so smart. I didn't think about that.
Okay. So, but the most important cameras that they know aren't working are the ones pointed directly at his cell.
How convenient.
Now, how convenient. They know that they're not working, and they intentionally put him there knowing that they don't work, knowing this is an extremely high-profile case. They're going to put this guy who's known suicidal, you're saying just attempted suicide and had to go to the hospital wing. They're going to put him there where they know the cameras don't work. It doesn't make sense.
So I wonder if the cameras broke before he moved into that cell or after.
That's a good question.
If they worked before, it's a free cell. Throw them in there.
Right.
But if they didn't work before, why would they put, like you said, a high-profile suicidal man in an area where cameras didn't work?
Right. Why would you do that?
Yeah, that
Why would
makes
you
zero
do
sense.
why would you do that unless you were wanted to perpetrate something that wasn't on camera, that
But
shouldn't be on camera?
I think these two have told us all, though. They obviously they did not want to do their jobs, and
Hmm.
if the camera was broke before they put him in there, they probably didn't care. They just wanted to go chill and do whatever.
Right. But I don't believe these two determine who gets what cell.
Okay, you think there's somebody else?
There's somebody higher up that determines who gets a cell, someone that takes care of where to put people, because in a prison system you can't put people just anywhere. You have to separate gangs, you have to separate uh, higher profile people, you have to keep certain people away from other people, and there's whole units inside of prisons that manage this sort of thing, and
So
that's
let me
part
ask
of
this:
inmate safety. So
the the
someone
person,
picked that
so,
cell.
yeah, and that's what I was. The person that picked this cell, do you think they're high enough to have video footage?
I think that person might be aware that those cameras are broken.
Huh? How
And
convenient.
how convenient, how extremely convenient. So, uh, I mean, it could be, there could be malice there, or it could be just the dumbest luck or the most extreme incompetence. If, in order for this man to have killed himself, you were exactly right. It had to be a perfect storm of
Of screw
failures,
ups. Yeah.
because the two cameras not working, pointing towards his cell door,
Yep.
right? Them not doing their job, him known to be suicidal,
With no
so
cellmate.
with no cellmate who was taken
Yes.
out the day before or that morning.
That morning. Yeah.
Actually, that morning was taken
Yeah.
out that morning. So it seems to be a perfect storm come together, and these two guards are going to be the ones that are taking the fall for it, because who chose to put this man somewhere where the cameras didn't work? Okay, let's say they know the cameras don't work. Okay, devil's advocate, the cameras don't work. You know you have guards that are supposed to be doing their jobs, walking around checking.
Hmm.
So who's checking the guards? Because this can't be their first go at this.
Right.
If they're just falsifying logs and saying, yes, we checked everybody, they're fine. This can't be their
So
first go.
it said that Noel started in 2016, and you said the other guy had been
Yes,
working there longer?
2013.
Okay. So they know. I wonder how long these falsifying documents goes back. If it
Yeah,
if it only started when Epstein was in there, how convenient.
how convenient, right?
But if
I
they've been
think that
doing it
they
a
know
long
they could
time,
do this.
yeah, that's what if they've been doing it a long time, they know that nobody's watching them, that they don't care, and the only reason they got busted was Epstein was found dead.
Yes, yeah, conveniently during the perfect storm of failures.
Yes.
So why would he go to kill himself, knowing that the guards were not going to come through? So was he? Did he in the short time frame that he's there? Did he learn that these guards on this shift were known to not do their job and was going to leave him alone all night long? Was this information that was passed to him by another cellmate? That'd been there longer than him. That,
Right.
hey, whenever Noel and this other person are on duty, you can do whatever you want to because they're not going to come do their job. And these inmates don't know that they have to fill out all this paperwork and such and so forth, and they don't know the schedule that they have to come. As an inmate, you're just in your room all day, that's your world, and occasionally a guard comes by. You don't really have a track of time, you know.
So my
So,
one little sliver of thought, just the tiniest sliver, that he did kill himself, but he did it because he didn't want the pressure of knowing that other people were coming after him, if that makes sense. All these documents come out, and all these high end associates were going to get exposed.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering, to avoid testifying, and you know later on he's out on a in the courtyard at the jail, and then a sniper blows his brains out or something like that. Um, kill himself now while he don't have to deal with it later on, if that makes sense.
Well, with that logic, what point does it matter? If you're going to kill yourself, I believe if I were going to do that, if I were in that situation, that I would do it because I knew my life was over, that they were going to get me for everything, and all my, this high profile, wealthy life that I was living had slammed to a stop.
Right,
That would be my motive
right,
because
right.
I knew my future was gone.
And you wouldn't want to have to go through all the court process. You wouldn't have to, living
Hmm.
in the crummy jail. Like, he goes
Right?
from living in penthouses in his own beach to living in a jail cell. Like, that would be enough right there to just do it.
Exactly. But how many other people just like him in positions of power? He's got so much money,
Yes,
and money can make things happen.
yes.
So why wouldn't he just sit up in there and pay for the best lawyers the country could buy and have them pick apart his defense?
So I, I
I
don't
th-
think I don't think he killed himself.
I
Honestly,
don't think he killed himself. That's
I
what
don't.
I'm saying. I don't believe he killed himself. The rest of the country doesn't believe he killed
No.
himself. The rest of the world doesn't believe Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
So what's your theory on it?
I think that someone in the prison either lied about the fact that a cellmate was taken out, or they brought a cellmate across the cameras that were non-functioning to do the job. Someone did the job of killing this guy. Now, either the prison itself is lying, but if the prison itself is not lying and there's just a small window of opportunity to where there's no cameras working, you've got these guards on shift, and this man is found dead. If he killed himself, if he didn't kill himself, if he was murdered, your list of suspects is going to be pretty narrow. It's
Right.
going to be these. It's going to be one of these two guards, and if there's someone else involved, it's another inmate or another guard that's inside the prison. But they put him in this cell where these cameras don't work.
Right.
Someone besides these two guards did that. These two random guards don't choose who gets the cell. Someone higher up in the prison did that.
So let me ask
So
you this:
we have to elevate the level of the conspiracy.
who do you think's paying for all this? In your mind, who do you think did this?
Ah, it's hard to say. When you look at the connections the man had between the Clintons, Trump, uh, Prince in England, it's hard to say because you could throw the money out there, but who has the influence at the same time?
So that's my thing.
I don't
Um,
believe Trump has the influence. I
no.
believe he has the money. Certainly has the money. The man is wealthy. But I don't believe he has the connections and the influence to pull the string because he's getting flack from every direction for every single thing he does right now. If he had any
Right.
influence over anybody powerful, he wouldn't have the problems he's having now.
Here's my
So
thought.
go
I
ahead.
believe, I believe it was Hillary Clinton. Hear
Of
me
course.
out. Hear me out. I know the typical, think of all the people that was going to testify against her that ended
Uh-huh.
up dead,
Yes.
or people that exposed something about her. The DNC hacker, wouldn't he like shot in the back, but no one took his stuff or something like that?
Yeah, they tried to say it was a robbery or a drug deal or something like that.
I think they said it was a botched robbery and that he
A
ended up
botched robbery.
getting shot in the back or something like that. So what I think happened, I believe she paid the prison. Um, I don't know who in the prison. Obviously, someone that controls where Epstein goes, and the cameras. I don't believe that they were broke before he got in there. I think that somebody, these two guards, I believe these two guards did it, honestly. So I'm thinking, they were arrested and charged with falsifying documents. When this all dies out from the media, you won't hear squat about those two anymore. So my train of thought is Hillary Clinton paid the jail. The jail got these two guards in on it. The guards go to jail, but that's it. I think what's going to happen is they'll disappear. They'll probably get paid for new lives and all this other stuff, and they'll just go live probably on Epstein's island.
Do you think they're going to get a slap on the wrist?
I don't even think that. I think that it's so rigged that all the money flowing through there, they'll just get a new life, new identity, probably living in big penthouse somewhere.
Right. So
I think
fired
them
from their jobs for incompetence,
right.
but not brought up on any charges. You think they're going to get overturned on some sort of
No,
technicality
I'm
or?
sorry. I think they will go to jail, but past that, they'll disappear.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like the media will see them going to jail, but nobody. Once people are in jail, people don't go back and check on these because these are nobodies. So
Hmm.
I think what's going to happen is they go to jail, the media stops caring, and they move on, and these people just disappear.
We've got Noel and Thomas as being on duty the night he passed, whether he killed himself or he didn't.
Right.
I would be interested to know if there was any financial hardships in either of their families that would make them susceptible to bribery or coercion.
And you know what I think? I think on that note, tune into next week's episode and we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Thanks for listening, guys.